What I have is 5 of the rarest Colt Pythons you're going to find. I have Colt letters for all of these guns. They are prototypes from the factory and salesman samples. This one here is Colt Python serial number 3. It is a experimental Python prototype. It shows some wear, but again, because it was a prototype and a sample, it does have full checkered grips. You can see the ribbing on the top of the gun. No Colts had this upper rib prior to making the Colt Python, so this is an interesting gun in that it's clearly showing that there was some machining marks, and they're experimenting with putting a rib on the top of a Python. There is no markings on the barrel itself. As you can see, it does have the early style full checkered grip. This one here is amazing because it's a factory experimental prototype. The serial number starts with GX, which is a gun experimental from Colt. It is a very small frame version of a Python. As you can see, it says Python 38 on the barrel. It is a 2.5-inch barrel pistol, and it is a small frame, which would lead to the belief that this was what took us to the Diamondback. This set of grips is significantly smaller than the full-size checkered grips on a regular Python, and this frame is smaller, so it's definitely something that led us to the Colt Diamondback. It ties both snakes together. This is a very significant gun. And it does show wear because this gun was used. I mean, this gun was tested and tried and ran through the ringer. So there is wear on this gun. This other gun here is a Python prototype of actually a Mark III, which is very funny because it looks to be that Colt at one time was considering making the Python off the Mark III frame and not doing the hand fitting like the Python was known to have. So this is a very interesting gun. There was 2 of them that I'm aware of. I owned both of them. I sold the lesser conditioned one off several years ago. Someone made me a sizable offer, and since I had 2, I let one of them go. This gun is in excellent shape, but as you can see, it's Mark III type hardware, but it is clearly marked Python Mark III. This one here is a nickel-plated Colt Python. This is as new. I mean, there's no marks on it. It's a beautiful gun. It is something that shows that the Colt factory was considering putting a safety. They actually have a thumb safety here that actually locks the hammer from being used, and you can see the grips were reconfigured to allow for that safety. That's a beautiful gun. That is a prototype as well. That came out of Colt's vault. And then the final gun I have is what's the Smith & Wesson collectors call them Pintos. It's a blued and nickel version. As you can see, it has a nickel hammer, nickel trigger, nickel cylinder, and nickel cylinder release with some, looks like some nickel appointments in the word Python on the barrel. This is absolutely beautiful. This was purchased from a Colt employee who bought this at the 1984 Christmas sale. In 1984, Colt sold some prototypes and salesman samples. As you can see here by the documentation, salesman samples and show guns, etc. in 1984. This came from the factory, nickeled and blued, and it came with its original shipping box, all the original box paperwork, and the Christmas sale paperwork that documents that this came from Colt as nickel and blue. This paperwork is very significant in the fact that Colt doesn't even have a copy of this. Beverly asked me for a copy, and I did not provide it to her because I'm one of the only few people that I know of that can document these guns as leaving the factory as nickel and blue. When the Colt letter came out, it showed it as royal blue, but when I talked to Beverly, she said, well, your documentation is better than mine, and that's enough said. So anyway, I have this collection of 5 very rare Python prototypes and salesman samples. Hope you enjoyed this video.